Today's session we see about counter propagation network. What is counter propagation network? So main purpose of the CPN is fast and coarse approximation of vector mapping y is equal to pi of x. Not to map any given x to its pi of x with given precision. Input vectors x are divided into clusters and classes. Each cluster of x has one output y, which is hopefully the average of pi of x for all x in that class. So you can see the architecture, that is from input to hidden class and from hidden class to output. Input vectors are x1, xi, xn, and output vectors are y1, yj, ym, and in between we have an hidden class, that is z1, zk, and zp. So learning in two phases. First phases, you can see we have to wait w of k coming into hidden nodes, that is z of k, are trained by the competitive learning to become the representative vector of the cluster of input vectors x. And what is phase 2? Weights going out of hidden nodes vk are trained by delta rule to be an average output of pi of x, where x is an input vector that causes zk to win. So a combination of both unsupervised learning, that is for wk in phase 1, and supervised learning for vk in phase 2. After the phase 1, clusters are formed among the same sample input x, and each wk is a representative of a cluster. And at phase 2, each cluster, that is k, maps to an output vector y, which is the average of pi of x. And in phase 2 learning, the following delta rule, which is given here, has been followed. So it can be shown that when t tends to infinity, you can see that weights w of k of t tends to x, that is depends upon the input vector. Okay, so these are the only things that you can write the wk, that is weight update rule. So this wk star into j is an weight update rule. Okay, if x are drawn randomly from the training set, then again you can see it is e of wik star j. Okay, so after training, the network works like a lookup of map table. Like for any input x, you have to find the region where x falls and use the region as an index to look up the table for the function value. And this CPN works in multidimensional input space. More cluster nodes is at more accurate mapping. Training is much faster than the backpropagation network, and they have a linear separator separability. What is full CPN? That is counter propagation network. So if both y of y is equal to pi of x and its inverse function, that is x is equal to pi inverse of y, exist, we can establish bidirectional approximation. So two pairs of weight matrices, that is w of x to z and v is z to y, for the approximate mapping x to y is equal to pi of x, and likewise u and z for approximate mapping y is equal to y to x is equal to pi inverse of y. So when training these samples, which is applied on x and y, they can jointly determine the winner zk star. Thank you.